LIB 104, Introduction to Library Technical Services. Week 3, Collection Development. Library staff. Before we dive into collection development, let's stop and think for a moment about who's working in our libraries. Each library is different, but oftentimes the public doesn't really understand the structure of the library, and there is a general structure that most libraries follow. If an employee has a master's degree in librarianship, that employee is considered a librarian. No one else is typically considered a librarian without a master's or another advanced degree or credential, such as a school librarian credential. Employees that don't hold a master's degree would often be the library technicians. There may be other staff present as well that includes pages, administrative assistants, and other non-specialized employees. Oftentimes, libraries utilize part-time employees. These could be called on-time librarians and staff, or in academic settings, adjunct librarians. Finally, we often see volunteers working in libraries. Our discussion topic this week will have you look at two organizational charts, one from a public library and one from an academic library. You will be comparing what you see in each one as far as its structure and titles to try and get a better understanding of the possibilities within libraries. One thing to keep in mind as you review these charts is that sometimes different terms are used for the same basic roles. So one library might say library technician, but another might say library assistant, for example. When we talk about collection development, we have to start considering different needs of libraries. When we consider library needs, there will be three common or universal ideas. One is that as the size of the community increases, there will also be an increase of diversity, or there will be a larger set of unique needs within that community. And when we start to see an increase in diversity, libraries will increase resource sharing. That is, the library will increase community partnerships or even work with other libraries in order to fulfill those diverse needs. And then finally, libraries must keep in mind that even with shared resources, it's never possible to fully satisfy everyone's needs, and decisions and priorities will need to be made in order to best serve the community. To address these needs and to keep them balanced, libraries need strong collection management. As we've reviewed in previous weeks, collection management includes collection development, which is how we grow a library's collection, but also goes beyond buying resources. In management, we must consider the other processes involved in maintaining a library's collection, such as access and preservation. Within collection management, other functions to be aware of are needs assessments, or determining what community needs from the library, selection, which is aligned to collection development and how we pick what resources we need, and acquisitions, which is securing those selections, and evaluation, which is about how we determine if we are meeting the needs of our community. Because collection management is a reflection of the community, there will be an inherent bias in the collection. However, libraries pride themselves on being as unbiased as possible regarding access to information. By keeping in mind that the library is aligned with community needs, a bias will be present. In order to tame that bias, though, policy should guide collection management and development decisions. Collection development policies guide libraries in their decision-making when they're adding materials to their collections. Once again, each library is unique, but there are some common features that we should see in a strong collection development policy. There should be a stated mission or goal of the library or even the policy itself. Having a mission or goal statement outlined in the policy provides focus and clarity as to what the library is trying to accomplish through its collection. Also, a policy should provide some detail or reference to its community that it's serving. What is the population like? If this is understood, then it helps to justify what they're adding to their collection. So, if a library's community has a high presence of Spanish speakers, the library might want to ensure that the policy supports the collection of Spanish language materials. The policy should also outline subjects that are needed in the collection, or depth of collection and formats of materials. Depth of coverage refers to how much of a subject do they need. Sometimes this isn't specified in great detail, but some subjects might be given a priority over others. Selectors, or who is determining what is being added to the collection, should be identified. Specific requirements or considerations for selections should also be outlined. A common topic that we see is gifts or donations can be problematic at times for libraries. Oftentimes, people like to donate to libraries, and libraries are generally very open to donations, but donations don't always align to the needs of the community or the library. And many times, the quality of donated materials may be questionable. So it's very important the policy on donations and gifts is clear and well developed. This policy should also outline how and when collections will be assessed and or possibly weeded. Add a way for members of the community to provide feedback about the collection, including complaints about resources. Policies aren't static documents. Formats of materials are constantly changing. From audiobooks, ebooks, and streaming media, all of these have an impact on how a library's collection development policy will work. The community can change and shift, and what may have been a need 10 years ago may no longer be a need today. A pandemic may have suddenly triggered a new area of collection development, but that new area may not be relevant 5 years from now. So carefully evaluating what is needed and how it will impact a policy is also needed. The library structure itself might change over time, which can impact a collection development policy. Reviewing policies should be done regularly, and even though you review it, it doesn't mean that it has to be updated. But it's a good idea and good exercise for library staff to review policy annually, regardless if any changes need to be made or not. So this week you'll be looking at two collection development policies and comparing them. Your first task, though, is to actually find them on their library's website. It isn't always easy to find these documents, so you'll be having to do a little scavenger hunt to locate them. The links to the library sites are in the assignment descriptions in Canvas. You'll also have your weekly quiz, but this week, in addition to the readings, there are two videos to watch. One highlights vendors' acquisition services that they offer to libraries, while another interviews a library acquisitions clerk about their acquisition processes at her library. I hope y'all have a great week.